Fourth service, how we doing tonight? You guys enjoying your summer? All right, I want to do something real fast. On the count of three, I want you all to tell me, because I'll be able to hear it, what you all did today. 1, 2, 3. That sounds fantastic. That's awesome. Well, hey guys, my name's Chris. Welcome to church tonight. I'm part of the Orion team here. We are so glad that you've chosen to be with us on this gorgeous summer day. I really can't believe it. It's kind of crazy. But hey guys, if you're here and this is your first time here, we just want to say welcome. If this is your 500th time here, welcome. One of the things I want to tell you about is our brand new Kensington Church website. You can find us at kensingtonchurch.org. Also, you can download our app. Listen, here's why it's great, is because we believe in giving you a greater opportunity to connect to the people and to the things that will really add value to you, and then give you opportunities to add value to others. That's what it means to be transformed and mobilized. And so we really encourage you, go check out the website, kensingtonchurch.org, download our app, check out the live streaming, and we believe it'll be a really great experience. But today, guys, I'm really excited. We're starting a brand new series today called Leave a Mark. And I'm personally excited about this. Here's why. Is because no matter what brought you here today, no matter what's happening in your life, we really believe, and guys, hear me, we really believe that God has positioned you to make a difference in your world. You know, a lot of times people think leaving a mark is a scope of width. It's, man, I don't have that large of a reach. But I tell you what, leaving a mark does not depend on how wide your reach is. It depends on you being willing to just be intentional with your everyday life. So we're going to get into that today. Dave Wilson's teaching today. I really believe it's going to, be a great service. Speaking of leaving a mark, how many of you guys love kids? I love kids, and I really believe in arts education. I really believe in giving kids the opportunity to have exposure to the arts and music. And so our Kaleo Kids program, which is formerly known as K-Rock, released an album over the summer, full-length project, really spectacular. And get this, 100% of the proceeds are going to benefit our school partners. Isn't that awesome? 100%. That's a lot of money. So here's a question. How many of you were with us this past Wednesday at the Strand Theater in Pontiac? Wasn't that awesome? I mean, look at these pictures. You'll see here. We had a packed room of people just worshiping Jesus. But I tell you what really excites me even more is that this was a citywide event. The city, the suburbs came together and we had a great night. But again, the best part about it, 100% of all the proceeds from that night, guess where they went? Our Pontiac school partners. That means thousands of dollars just got added to the arts education program in Pontiac schools for precious kids who I believe deserve a chance. Isn't that cool? Yeah, that really is. Hey, last thing I want to tell you about, how many of you guys know what's happening in Clinton Township, our East Side campus? A building, that's right. So, hey, we want to just give you a quick building update, give you an idea of what's happening over at Clinton Township, and you'll meet our new friend, Frankie the intern. Take a look. We'll get right back with you.
What's up, everybody? It's Frankie the intern. We're here in Clinton Township to check out the building of this new building here. It's going to be awesome. Thank you so much for everybody giving to the Everyone campaign. This wouldn't be possible without you. It's going to be sick. Let's check it out. This building is sick. It's already just like this giant skeleton. I didn't even think that they had like structures up at this point, but wow. I think that this is gonna be the auditorium right here. It looks huge. All you Clinton Township people are gonna love this. Man, oh man, cranes are sweet, yo. Yo, look at what it says on the side. It says cranes are cool, man. It's because cranes are cool. Look at that thing. Can I try? Let's do it. Man, this is heavy. You probably get real big doing this. Woo-hoo. Check it out. Now I'm going to the lobby. I'm in the lobby. I can see it now, all the different tables and everything set up. All right, we're going up. We're still going up? We're still going up. Man, look at this. We got our own lake over here. That's where we're gonna baptize people in Clinton Township. Man, are these blueprints? Can I draw on them? No. All right, that's cool. That's cool. Hey man, laying some bricks?
Oh yes.
Hey, listen, can I try? Can I lay one? I'm building this building brick by brick. Very cool. All right, well, today's been really cool. It's been a lot of fun checking out the Clinton Township building and how it's been going. Hopefully next time they got some real toilets. Frankie the intern. Until next time, much love. Man, oh man, never got to do this when I was growing up.
I like Frankie the intern. You like him? He's one of our own. He works with our student ministries, and you're going to get more updates from, that's not his name, by the way. Frankie is not, the intern's not his last name. But anyway, he'll be filling us in. But that is exciting stuff. Some of you are around 2 years ago. We did a capital financial campaign called the Everyone Campaign, and we asked you and me to pledge a financial amount above and beyond our normal giving for a 3-year pledge so that we could build that building and update this building, and all that's happening right now. That was just to let you know it's happening. They're going to be in there this summer. I want to say like next week because we're still in summer, right? 90 degrees today. It's crazy. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty exciting. I didn't see that going up. And I tell you what, you may know this, you may not. Today is our 27th birthday for Kensington. 27th birthday today. And, you know, when we started Kensington 27 years ago, I think I was 12. It was really something we never thought we'd have one building, let alone now. That's going to be our 4th building and 8 campuses. It's absolutely crazy. So we are grateful. We are thankful to God for what he's doing and what he's done. And so we just thought, let's start the service singing that back to God, that I'm grateful. So I encourage you to stand up, sing with us. We're going to say thanks to God, and then we're going to continue this day.
Sing with me, how great is our God. Oh, we'll sing how great is our God. Come on, let's sing that in celebration of 27 years of life change. Come on, sing it up. How great is our God. Come on, every voice, sing with me, how great is our God. Oh, we'll sing how great is our God. You're the name above all names. You are worthy. You are worthy of all praise. And my heart will sing. And my heart will sing how great is our God. Sing it again. Oh, you are worthy of all praise. You are worthy of all praise. And my heart will sing. And my heart will sing how great is our God. Let's sing that chorus together one more time. Every voice in this place. How great is our God. Sing it out. Sing with me, how great is our God. Oh, we'll sing how great is our God.
You know, that's a great song from the past. And some of you know this. That song came out the year we started this campus. The Orion campus started at Rochester Adams High School. Anybody know what year? Well, we're 14 years old today. That means we're a teenager today. And that came out in 2003, 2004. And, you know, it's just a great song about how great our God is. I want to pray and thank him as we just sang. And then we're going to start this Leave a Mark series. And then before I do that, after I pray, I just want you to give somebody a high five and tell them how mad you are the Lions lost. But let's pray. Father God, thank you. Thank you for today. Thank you for this church. Thank you for what you've done. It's absolutely amazing. It's truly a miracle what you've done in this place. And probably just as importantly, through Kensington, we are grateful for all you've done, for your mercy and your love. We don't deserve this, and yet you are a God that blesses abundantly beyond what we even imagine or dream. So God, we are grateful that you are a great, great God, and we thank you. And we pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Before you sit down, give somebody a high five. Say hi to them. Welcome them in. What? It's crazy. So, this might be the first time I've ever had to come up here and preach within the hour of losing a game that you got to watch on TV. I was there, so I don't even know what the replay looked like. I haven't seen any of that stuff. I talked to Golden in the locker room, and he said my knee wasn't down. Is he telling me the truth? Yeah, so who knows? I'll see it later tonight. But it's been quite a day for me to come back here. We did 3 services this morning, and I jumped on my motorcycle to ride down there and back, and I get there late because the 3rd service this morning ends right after 1. Of course, they start at 1, so I usually try to get there by the middle of the 2nd quarter. So I jump on my motorcycle, and I take my motorcycle today because it's warm enough and you can get in and out better. So I went as fast as you can go. I might have broken some speed limits, and I get there. And as I get off my motorcycle to get ready to go in the game, I realize my credential, which you guys saw a couple weeks ago, remember my credential that gets me in Fort Field, flew out of my saddlebags somewhere on the way down. I guess. I still don't know. It might be in the parking lot. If you guys see it, please give it back, okay? It might be on Lapeer Road. It might be on I-75. I don't know. I can't get in Ford Field. So anyway, it's been quite a day. I text the head of security thinking he's on the sideline right now. He's not even going to respond to this text. And within 5 seconds, where are you? I'm at the tunnel. I got somebody to get you. So they came up and got me. So then I got dressed. I'm on the sideline. Third quarter, this woman comes up to me and says, "Are you Dave Wilson?" "Yes." I'm like, "Who are you?" She goes, "I'm the head of security at Ford Field. We have a problem. If your credential is out there, that's a big deal. Because that means anybody can get into the stadium anytime, and they not only can get in the stadium, they can go anywhere in the stadium." Remember I told you it's all access? So I may be on some list, I might be taken down tonight. Anyway, what a day. So who cares about that, right? It's just a football game. This is more important. It really is. This is our birthday. And we have one more birthday cake right here. Who wants it? I've been giving these out all morning, and actually all morning people wanted these. They wanted to catch them. You ready? I might have licked this one this morning. I don't know, but there you go. Oh, he smashed it. Whoa. So anyway, it is really fun to celebrate our 27th birthday. It really is. And each campus is a different age, but this campus which is incredible, really is entering our teen years, which means it's going to be an awesome ride. I love the teen years as a teenager, and then even as a parent. I know some of you are like, "You like the teen years with your kids?" Yeah. Didn't we, Ann? It was awesome. And by the way, I love Sunday night service. Anybody with me? I do. Driving back here, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. We're doing another one. But once I got here, I just feel the energy in the room, and it's just awesome. So keep coming to this. Keep bringing your neighbors. That's what tonight's all about. It's called Leave a Mark on Your Neighborhood. We're doing a series called Leave a Mark. And by the way, the title of the series I came up with from a movie. You know me, I'm the movie guy, right? I didn't tell you this would be in my top 5 movies, but this movie's definitely in my top 15. And some of you would be like, "You got to be kidding." No, I think this movie in 1998, who starred Chris Farley as Tommy Callahan, right? Working for his dad's auto parts, right? Callahan Auto Parts, right? You remember that? Great movie, Tommy Boy? Yeah, it's one of my top. I love that movie. And, he kept walking into doors because he's just a klutz, right? And he walked into a window and go, "That'll leave a mark," right? There's the title of our series. It's like, that's what we want. We want to leave a mark, not on ourselves, but we want to leave a mark. As a church, as an individual, we want our lives to count. Am I right? And so we're going to talk about leave a mark on your neighbor today, on the church next week. And by the way, I'll explain in a minute what that's going to be like, but don't miss next week. Because we're going to talk about why do we do weekend services the way we do, and why have we changed a little bit the way we do weekend services. Maybe you've noticed that. It's intentional. We're going to explain why. In fact, I told the Detroit Lions, I am not going with you to Minnesota next week. I need to be at Kensington to preach that message, so I'm going to be here with you next week. Next Sunday night, we'll be celebrating the Lions' victory on the road. I'll just be here with you, and I get to watch it on the couch like you do next Sunday. That's sort of exciting. Anyway, so don't miss next week. So here's Leave a Mark. Leave a Mark is this. It's in my gut. I want my life to count. I do funerals. You've been at funerals. There are 2 kinds of funerals. There's funerals when you have an open mic and say, "Does anybody want to say something about this man or this woman or this boy?" There's funerals where you can't stop it. They just start talking and talking. This man, this woman changed my life. They have impact. They've left a mark. But I got to tell you, there's other funerals you go open mic and nobody says anything. And I tell you sit at those funerals and you watch them, and I go, I know which kind of funeral I want. But to leave a mark, to have an impact on somebody's life, is got to be intentional. And so when we started Kensington 27 years ago, Steve, Mark, and I had this dream. We want to start a church that makes a difference. In Oakland County, and then in Detroit, and then outside of Detroit, the state of Michigan, and then the US of A, and then globally. And I never would have thought 27 years later, we look back and go, oh my gosh, God has done above and beyond what we ever dreamed. But I got to be honest, and I want to just take a footnote right here, say this. When we started Kensington, I feel like, and I still feel this way, God gave me a unique burn to leave a mark, not just on the city of Detroit or beyond as a church, but also to leave a mark on men. One of my burning passions is to help boys become men, and to help men who don't know what a man really is, and they are 30 years old and they're still a boy that shaves. They're not a man yet because they don't know what a man is. It's my burning passion. It is. It always has been. I think it's going to be even greater as I get older. I can be more of a sage and a mentor to these men in this church. It's a burning passion of mine. We've talked here many times about the 4 pillars of manhood. If you're sitting here as a guy going, what are the 4 pillars you don't know? You need to find out, because a man isn't a man until he's living those out. And so one of the things we do to help boys and men become men is we do a thing called Man Up. You know that, right? I'm giving a plug for it right now. And 2 weekends from now, Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday morning, many men in this place and all of our other campuses will be at Spring Hill Camps for a men's retreat called Man Up. And I'm just telling you, guys, get there. Seriously, some of you haven't signed up yet and you're thinking, I'm not going. You need to go. I'm telling you right now, it will literally change your life in a way you have no idea. Am I right, guys that have been there? It's actually hard to explain what happens when men pull away from women and children and spend the weekend together. God shows up in a unique and powerful way. And I know the same thing happens when women do the same thing. But all I know is I've never been at the women's retreat. I've been at Man Up, and it's awesome. And it isn't awesome, guys, just because there are no women there and we can fart and burp and do all that stuff. It isn't that. It's how God shows up in a unique way. And we have a lot of crazy, crazy fun as well. In fact, we made a little promo video to give you a little flavor, if you've never been to Man Up, what it sort of feels like. So watch this.
Man Up 2017, October 6th through 8th, it's back. We're going to be at Spring Hill Camps with zip lines, tournaments, Man Up-a-thon, and incredible speakers like Dave Wilson, Patrick Holden, Cliff Johnson, and an interview with Ramesh and Steve Andrews. We're talking about the 4 stages of manhood. Well, the first stage is the cowboy stage, where we're talking... The second stage is the warrior stage, where we're going to be... The third stage is the king stage.
Bow to me.
And the last stage we're talking about is the sage stage, where we're
shall not pass.
It's gonna be incredible. Invite your friends.
What are you doing, boy?
I'm doing a Man Up promo.
Oh, that's cute. You're not doing a good job, though. It's okay. You're not macho enough to do Man Up.
Hey, I got my camo on. I'm ready to go.
Playing dress up. Go ahead. Run along, son. I got this. Listen, man. This is going to be the best Man Up you ever had because it's going to be macho. How macho? That's right. It's going to be that macho. Listen, we got all kinds of fun stuff. We got bare-chested wrestling. We got porcupine tossing and tons of Vaseline. You're going to want to bring all your friends and neighbors. Sign up. Let's stand up.
I've got to be a macho man.
All right, you in? Doesn't that look like fun? By the way, Dirk will be there. I won't even tell you his last name. It's a little offensive, but he'll be there with us all weekend. And guys, seriously, sign up. You can go on our app right now and sign up. Bring a guy. If you don't, it's amazing to me the number of men, I'm not kidding, that I'll meet at Man Up that have never been to a weekend service at Kensington. This is their first thing they do. And the number of guys that come and know nobody. They're like, I can't believe they have the courage to do it, but they show up, and here's what will happen. By the end of the weekend, you'll have a circle. Remember the last series we did? Circles are better than rows of friendships. That's what you long for. You'll have it by the end of the weekend. And one last incentive. We do a thing called the Man-a-thon. The Man-a-thon is a competition all weekend between each campus, and one campus wins. And you might know me, I'm a little competitive. Orion won the first year, 2 years ago, the Man-a-thon. We brought home the trophy. It's a cup. Last year, Clarkston beat us. What? So, we got some Clarkston people in the house? Well, they're not winning this year. Orion's winning. You with me? I need some dudes to join this team because we're taking down Clarkston and all the rest of the pansies out there, all right? So anyway, so that's Man Up. Please, again, sign up. You get this weekend, next weekend, and then the following weekend we're there. Okay, let's get back to what we're talking about. Leave a mark. Here's the thing. When you think about starting a church 27 years ago and you want to leave a mark with your life or as corporately as a community, here's what we dreamed of. We want to leave a mark that God wants us to leave. What kind of mark does God want to leave on the planet? Eternal perspective. And so you step back and go, okay, what is God like? Now, think about this. Have you ever sort of developed an opinion or perspective about somebody that you didn't really know, but you sort of knew from a distance or watch, or you heard opinions about them, but then when you met them, they were totally different? I think a lot of us have had that experience. When Ann and I and our boys, they were young at the time, moved into our house over by Adams High School, which we still live in. I've been saying all day, honey, is it 17 years we've been there? 18 years. I always get numbers wrong, so now I'm right. That means she's going to love me tonight. Anyway, 18 years, and so we move in, and we find out we're in a cul-de-sac, and we find out for some of our neighbors that the woman that lives beside us, who's been there a long time, is really sort of an old witch. Her name was Lois. She's cranky. She sits, so we sort of heard this about her, and then we sort of got to know her. She's our next door neighbor. She lives there by herself. She's 80, 90 years. She's old lady. She would sit in her front living room by herself pretty much every day, look out the front window, and if anything happened, she'd come out and stop it. We had little boys. They'd run across in her yard. She'd come out and yell at them. It's like really not a fun neighbor, right? A ball goes over there. She'd yell and get that ball out of here. Our dog goes over there and goes, pfft. She didn't like that, all right? So you get it, right? And her name was Lois, and we didn't know her story, but, those kind of people you just sort of avoid, right? You don't want to be around them. One time I'm mowing the yard, and she comes out and she goes, David. And I'm like, you want me to stop? So I stop my mower. I come over, her driveway is right here, and her house is here, and our house was here. She goes, you need to adjust your sprinklers so they don't hit my driveway. Like, what do you mean? Well, when it comes around this way, like an inch of the water goes on my driveway. Please adjust that. I don't want any of your water on my driveway. And I wanted to say, what do you do when it rains? It's like, what in the world are you kidding? So that was what she was like. And it was like, you just avoid those kind of people. They're not fun to be around. I should have loved her like God loves her, but I didn't. I just I'm not going to get near her, right? And so one day, I don't know, 5-6 years in after we were there and she was our neighbor. And again, not much interaction with her except her yelling at us. I'm out doing something on that side of my house. Here's her driveway. Her garage is open. There's her house. I do not look to see if she's in the garage because I know if she's in there, she's going to yell at me. So I have my back and I'm doing something, and all of a sudden I hear a thud really loud. And by the sound of it, it sounded like somebody fell. And I turn, and she's laying on the garage floor and sort of dazed because her head must have hit. I run over. I look down. She's a little dazed. She's moaning because she's in pain. I just instantly pick her up, get to her garage door, sort of wiggle the thing, kick the door open, walk in her house, put her on her couch. By the way, first time I'd ever been in her house, ever. So I put her down. I run in and get some water from the kitchen. I come in. I'm sort of kneeling by there, and she just now is sort of coming to, and she starts telling me what happened. She's like, what happened? I go, I don't know. I think you fell. I know you fell. Are you okay? Yes, I feel okay. She starts to talk. And I probably talked to her for 15, 20, 30 minutes, and she started talking about her life. And her life was pretty amazing. She had kids that were out of state. Her husband died 5 or 6, 7 years ago. She actually took me downstairs to his workbench that she never touched since the day he died. Every tool's just where it was the day he died. And actually, after some time with her, I actually realized, oh my gosh, she's a tender, wonderful woman who you'd never know this by the way she acts, but her heart was actually beautiful. And I think I even came home and told Andy, Lois is really a nice lady. We should get to know her. We should take some meals over to her. She's really lonely. It was interesting to think what I thought about her without knowing her, and then when I got to know her, how different she truly was. And here's what hit me this week. Even as I thought about that illustration, I thought, I did the same thing with God. Maybe you did too. Maybe you still are. See, I grew up going to church with my mom, my single mom, and I had no option. I lived in a house where she said, you live under my roof, you obey my rules, we're going to church. So we went to church, and I hated it. And at that church, I don't even think they said this, but I picked up this kind of thinking about what God is like. God is an angry God who's usually mad at sinners, which I am. Church is a place for righteous, good people, and sinners should stay away. They're not welcome there. The doors are shut to anything but good people. And God is sort of like an old lady sitting by the front window looking down on earth trying to wait for somebody to step in his yard, and he's going to whack them. That's sort of what I thought God was like. So you've heard this, but as soon as I got out of high school and went to college, and I'm now on my own, not living under mom's roof anymore, but my own dorm room. Guess what I did with church? I said, screw that. I'm never going there again because I do not want to be a part of that kind of church and that kind of God. See, I really believe that's what God was like. And I had no idea because I never really met him. And long story short, and I don't have time to go into my story, but obviously I'm standing here today because that's not who God is at all. But I had to discover that myself. You know how to discover that? In college. I had everything you can imagine, every dream I ever dreamed of. I was the starting quarterback, full scholarship, led the nation, pastor, all this stuff is happening, and I'm absolutely empty. Even though I'm partying and doing all the stuff that's supposed to bring you life, and I wake up hungover and I'm empty. And so I remember I picked up the Bible and started reading the Bible and say, maybe there's an answer in this book. And again, I'd been to church my whole life. I'd never read the Bible on my own. I only listened to what people said it said. And I tell you what, if you don't know what God's like, I encourage you right now to do this. Read the books of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. They're the first 4 books in the New Testament. They're written by those guys' names, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, disciples of Jesus, who wrote an eyewitness account of his life and even other eyewitness accounts to corroborate his life. And when you read those journals, journal entries of the person of Jesus, you begin to understand God is nothing like I thought he was. Now, why do I say read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John? Because Jesus said, I am God. I and God himself are one. He said, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. In other words, he's saying, if you want to know what God is like, all you have to do is watch me, write down what I say, listen to what I say. I am going to reveal to you the heart of God. And when you start to look at Jesus, you go, oh my gosh, God is nothing like I thought. He is not angry. He is not up there waiting for sinners to mess up. He has not had the doors of the church locked to dirty sinners. He actually is nothing like that. In fact, when you go to those books, you find some things like this, and I'll just give you a quick flyby. You go to Luke chapter 5, and it says this, but the Pharisees and teachers of the law who belonged to their sect complained to his disciples, why do you eat and drink with tax collectors and sinners? Now, notice what's going on here. The Pharisees and the teachers of the law are who? They're the religious leaders of their time. Today, they would be the religious leaders of our time. They could even be the church people. And they had their little group, sect. And do church people do that? Yep, we sort of have our little closed group. And he says, Jesus and his disciples are hanging out with what? The dirt of society. And in that time, there was dirt, there was clean. If you were righteous, you were clean. If you were not righteous or you're not a Jewish person and you were far from God, you were considered dirty, and they never mixed because dirt could get unclean. So you stayed away from lepers and widows, and all the sinners. Tax collectors were like the scum of the society. Jesus and disciples are having a meal with them. And so they're saying, what are you doing? That is absolutely wrong. And Jesus hears this, and he responds this way. Here's the heart of God. He said, it is not the healthy who need a doctor, but the sick. So what's he saying? Oh, it's very clear. He said, I didn't come for the healthy. I didn't come for the righteous. I came for the sick. I came for the dirty. And trust me, the Pharisees and the church people are like, oh, that's blasphemy. That cannot be God. And what Jesus is trying to do, he's saying, you have no idea what God's like. I don't know where you get this idea, but that is not who your Heavenly Father is. And then here's another passage. You go to Mark 10, it says this, not so with you. I got to give you a little backstory. They're talking about how to lead. They say the Gentiles lord it over them. They crack the whip. And he says, no. If you're a follower of me, not so with you. That's not how we lead. Instead, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant. Whoever wants to be first must be a slave of all. For even the Son of Man, it's a reference to himself, even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many. Oh my gosh, of all people that could have said, you bow down to me and you serve me, it was Jesus. He was God. And he said, no. I didn't come to make you bow down to me. I will serve you. In fact, I'll serve you to the ultimate extent. I'm going to give my life. I'm going to sacrifice my life for who? Dirty sinners. So that they can have access to the Father, because they can't clean themselves up. And even the clean people can't clean themselves up. So I'm going to give my life as a ransom for many. It's like, that's who you are? Yeah, that's the heart of the Father. And then there's one other passage I want to just do a quick overview of, because it is on your 27th birthday or on any birthday, you should go back and remind yourself, why were we birthed? What was our original intent of Kensington 27 years ago? And it's no different today. We talked about it at the leadership gathering. Brian Tome came in from Cincinnati and preached on this very passage. But I'm guessing a lot of you know this, but if you don't know this, in fact, if this is your first time ever at Kensington, perfect day to be here. Because you're going to understand why we started Kensington and why we still have the same mission 27 years ago we had then. And it's a passage that's classic to us. I could quote it for you almost word for word. Luke chapter 15, where Jesus is confronted again by the religious leaders because they don't like what he's doing. I'll read it to you. Luke 15:1 says this, now the tax collectors and sinners were all gathering around to hear Jesus. I'm going to stop right there just for a pause, because think about who Jesus was with again. He's with the who? The scumbags, the dirt of their society, they're having a meal together, which means intimate friendship, all right? And the religious people don't like this, but there he is. But one thing I think we got to notice, because I don't want you to miss this, is why do you think the dirty scumbags of society wanted to be around Jesus? Have you ever thought about this? They were drawn to him like a magnet. Why? There must have been something in the way he lived and what he taught that made them feel like this man loves us and values us like nobody ever has. Here's the question I have for you and me, and I'm talking to us church people, those of us that are have surrendered our life to Christ, and you would call yourself a follower of Jesus Christ, whether it's recently or for maybe decades. Let me ask you something. Do sinners want to hang out with you? Do they want to be with church people? Do they want to come to your house for the party? Do they want to be a part of your life, or do they sort of avoid church people? If you look at the research says unchurched people do not want to be around church people because they feel like church people are what? Judgmentals at the top of the list, hypocriticals at the top of the list. They don't want to have anything to do with us. And yet, they wanted to be around Jesus. If we were more like Jesus, I think unchurched people would long to be a part of us, but there was something very unique about Jesus. Of course, the religious people didn't like it. You go to verse 2 and it says, but the Pharisees and the teachers of the law muttered, this man welcomes sinners and eats with them. Now, it's interesting. Brian Tome talked about this the other night, and I've mentioned this before whenever I teach this. It's interesting that the word muttered is in there. The Pharisees, the church people, they muttered, this man eats with sinners. It's the same word as they grumbled. Have you ever noticed that muttering and grumbling is a part of church? It just happens a lot at church. People, I can't even find a parking spot at this stupid church. It takes me 15 minutes to get in the lot. It's all blacked out the silver ball. Think about how we mutter about stuff like that. You know, if you were going to a concert of a really, really good artist and there was no backup, you'd be like, this isn't a very good artist. Nobody wants to come to this. When you go to a church that you can hardly get in, that's a good problem. Am I right? But we mutter about it, right? And then we walk in here and we're like, somebody's sitting in my seat. You know? It's just what we do as church. It's so interesting that we grumble, you know, like, I'm not kidding. Years ago at Troy campus, before we had any other campuses, a guy came up to me once, right before I was getting ready to walk on the stage, and he goes, you need to tell the kids to put their hats on forward. I go, what? He goes, look at this, so disrespectful. They got their baseball hats backward. And I go, dude, it's the style. It's not disrespect. That is disrespectful. We should kick them out of the church. I'm like, okay. We actually started the church for people like that. Give them your seat is what I was trying to say. That's awesome that they're here. What would they feel like if we looked them in the eye and valued them and didn't judge them because their hat was forward or backwards or sideways or flat bill or curved bill or tattoo or no tattoo? It's like, oh my gosh, church people, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? And that's what they were doing. This man welcomes sinners and eats with them. And I think Jesus heard that and he's like, oh my gosh, they have no idea what the Father is like. How do I know he thought that? Because he tells 3 stories in a row. 1, 2, 3. They all have the same point. I'm not going to tell you all 3. I don't have time. I'm going to read you the first one. But every one of them is the exact same point. What's he trying to do? He's trying to say, let me give you an idea, folks, of what my Father his heart is like. Because you may have heard or you may have thought, but you don't know. Here's what he's like. And so he goes into the next verse. It says, then Jesus told them this parable. Suppose one of you has 100 sheep and loses one of them. Doesn't he leave the 99 in the open country and go after the lost sheep until he finds it? And when he finds it, he joyfully puts it on his shoulders and goes home. Then he calls his friends and neighbors together and says, rejoice with me, I have found my lost sheep. I tell you, now here it is, here's the point. I tell you in the same way, there will be more rejoicing in heaven over one sinner who repents than over 99 righteous persons who do not need to repent. That's the first story. It's like, boom. The religious people are like, what? What? Boom. Let me tell you another story. And he goes into the woman who lost the coin and searches the whole house to find the coin. Boom. I don't think they got it yet. I'm going to give you one more, the lost son or the prodigal son, right? He tells these amazing stories. The whole point of all 3 stories is the same point. Do you want to know the heart of God? It's a heart of compassion. It's a heart of grace. I mean, the prodigal son story, which we looked at in Leadership Gathering, is so beautiful. It's like we think God is, waiting for us to turn and he's just going to punish us and he's going to run us down and punish us and, make us pay for our sin. And actually, the Father is running to us to what? Embrace us with grace. It's called the grace embrace. That's the heart of the Father. It's like, you turn toward me, I will run after you and die for you. I will give you life. You are my beloved son or daughter. That's the heart of the Father. And he chases down the one lost sheep. Now, he's not saying the 99 found don't matter. They matter, of course, but he says, but my heart and my target is that one who's far from me, that's lost, that doesn't know how to find me or how to find life. I'm going to go after them. And I got to tell you, when we studied that passage back in the 80s and then early 90s, we're like, this is the kind of church we want to be a part of. What if we designed a weekend service that would be targeted to that person? Not just the 99 that are found, but the one who's lost. What if our doors were kicked wide open and said, sinners, dirt, come on in, because we're dirty too. Come on in. A big welcome, mat at the thing, and all sinners welcome here. Join us. What if that's how they felt when they walked in there? They felt loved and embraced by a God who's the God of Luke 15. We thought, oh my gosh, wouldn't that be awesome? And so we started a church where the weekend service is still today not designed for you and me who are in, but designed for your neighbor or your boss or your family member who's still far from God. We think of them every moment. I'm thinking of them right now as I preach to you. Every word I'm thinking through, how does that connect to your neighbor, not just you and me? Now, here's the thing. I'm not saying you and me don't matter. The found people, the righteous people. I know you're not as righteous as I am, but the righteous people. I'm kidding. I'm not saying that we don't matter. We're the 99. We matter. But the weekend's never even designed for us. And yet in 27 years, honestly, and I can say this without exaggeration, I've sat here at times where I'm not even preaching, but I still know everything that's going to happen in the service because I'm on the planning team. I know the songs we plan. I know the videos. I know the stories. I know everything. I know what's in the notes. And I'll be sitting there thinking, this isn't for me, but this will be a nice day. And all of a sudden, somewhere in the service, every single service in 27 years, and I'm not kidding, God hits me. It's like, Dave, this is for you. Boom. And I'm like, oh my gosh, God just impacted me. And I'm sitting there going, this wasn't even for me. It's for my neighbor. And yet if you come here open, God will talk to you, even though it's not designed really for you. It's designed for you to bring your neighbor that you want to leave a mark on. And let me say this, and you know this. If you've ever brought your neighbor, maybe you brought one tonight, here's what happens. You walk in this place, and you don't even care about you anymore. You're listening to everything through their ears and eyes. Am I right? I know you're sitting there, you're praying, and you're like, Wilson, you better be good tonight. God, make him good for once. It's like you want the message, you want the arts, you want everything to be so good that your neighbor goes, I'm coming back, man. That was awesome, right? It doesn't even matter what you're thinking because you're on mission. What's the mission? Luke 15, the mission for the one. Who can say our mission statement? It's the same mission statement we came up with 27 years ago, although 27 years ago, we weren't smart enough to know that you will never remember a 17-word mission statement. To turn people who think God is irrelevant into fully, forget it. Who cares? We condensed it to the same mission, only said in 8 words. I'll start it for you. You tell me if you can finish it. Yell it out. To see everyone transformed and mobilized how? By Jesus. I mean, there it is. That's our mission. That's it. That tells you what business we're in, what we're about. That's every weekend service. That's what we're trying to do. And again, come next weekend because I'm going to break down the details of why we've changed how we're trying to do that. But notice, put that back up real quick. Notice, and I know you know this, but notice the word everyone has parentheses where? Around the one. We just thought that'd be a way for us to visually be reminded every matters and one matters, and there's a little bit of an emphasis on the one because Jesus tends to show us his heart for the lost sheep, the lost coin, the lost son. In fact, if you've looked at our Kensington app or if you've gone to our website or you've seen our new logo, we updated the logo. I don't know why. I like the little trees with the little flowers around them and everything from 1990, but it's sort of gone. So we came up with a new logo, and the new logo has an arrow pointing where? There it is, to the one. We got 3 chevrons up here on stage, and there's the arrow pointing to the one. We wanted you to be able to look at our logo and know what it's about. It's like, oh, we're pointing to what? The one. Now, I got to be honest with you. When I see that one, I think 2 thoughts about the one. And I want to put these in your brain so you might think the same thing. I see a dual meaning of that one, and here's what it is. I see the one being that one, the one true God, the God of all creation. His name is Jesus. I see that in the one. In other words, if I have my eyes on that one, God, I'll get to see his eyes and his heart, and he will remind me that his heart is on that one. It's like the big I, the big one, and the lowercase one. Does that make any sense? I think we can get lost. Sometimes it's all about my neighbor who's far from God and forget, no. Here's the thing. Write this one down. Tweet this out. I think this is good, okay? You tell me if it is. If you want to leave a mark, you got to be marked. I'll say it a better way. If you want to leave a mark for God, you got to be marked by God. Does that make any sense? See, what I'm saying is, I don't want to encourage you to go out there and reach your neighbor. Just go. Just do it out of your energy. Just do it because your pastor told you to. No. Here's what I'd really encourage you to do. Go get your eyes on the one. Not your neighbor, the one. Get to know the one. Get to know how majestic and powerful and incredible and graceful and loving your Heavenly Father is. Spend some time with him, and when you get to see his heart, you will then just overflow what he puts in you, because his heart will fill your heart, transform you, and send you on a mobilized mission to what? The one. It'll be your neighbor. It'll be Kenya. It'll be India. It'll be all over the world. God will do that. I mean, I literally experienced this a few weeks ago. I was sitting in my front room of our house, family room, on the cul-de-sac, and I've got the Bible open on my lap, and I'm spending some time doing what? Looking at the one. How do I do that? And I encourage you to do the same thing I do. Do it every day. Open the Word of God and ask God to show himself to you through the Word. If you've never done it before, start the book of Matthew or start the book of John. I don't care. Just start somewhere and say, God, I'm going to open your word. Would you show me who you are? God will show you who he is. And so you spend some time there looking at his word. You spend some time talking to him. You spend some time listening to him. We call that prayer. So that's what you do. And so you gaze or you intently look at him, and then you start to get his heart. And here I am. I'm sitting in my family room. And at this time of our cul-de-sac, they just started redoing our cul-de-sac with new cement, right? So they tear up half of it, and we all have to park out here, and we have to take our garbage out to the other thing, and it's all a big inconvenience, right? We're all complaining, and then they put the things over here, and they're going to do the other part. Well, I'm sitting there in the afternoon, and I have a day off, and I'm looking at the one, and I have my Bible, and I'm just literally doing this. I'm like, God, this is awesome. You love me so much. I can't believe how much you love me. And I sense that God said, yeah, I really do, but look out there. I'm sort of like, and I look out my window, and all of our neighbors are all standing out talking about the construction. There's Dean and Nancy. There's Nick and Pam. There's Scott and Tina. They're all out there talking. And I'm having this time with God, and he's like, yeah, look out there. I'm like, yeah, that's great, man. You love them too, but isn't it awesome how much you love me? And he goes, go. I'm like, what? Go. Go get in that conversation. The only way they're going to know I love them is through their neighbor. You're their neighbor. Go. And it's so easy to live in these neighborhoods and isolate ourselves away and just bask in the love of God when we forgot our whole mission is not to just receive his love, but to extend his love. Where? Our neighbor. The kid you're sitting beside at school. The person you're beside in the cubicle at work. The person you end up in an Uber car with, the person you end up on an airplane. You think it's a coincidence? No. I believe God has put you there as the light to say, hey, you've experienced my love. Leave a mark on this neighbor right here, right? It's unbelievable what happens when we get our eyes off ourselves and just say, oh my gosh, God wants to use me to reach people that think God doesn't love them. They don't think he loves them because they know they're doing things that he wouldn't approve of, and they think they don't love them, and they think you don't love them. And what happens when you look with the eyes of tenderness of Jesus and you love them? It's the love of the Father that you've received out. That's leaving a mark on your neighbor. And so we designed a whole church to say, what would it be like if our weekend service could be a tool that you and I could use to bring our neighbors to and let them hear the gospel? And so all weekend, where's Ryan? Ryan's over there. All weekend, I've been asking Ryan Kibler to come up and share his story because he's the guy, like so many thousands of others, that we designed Kensington to reach. I didn't know this. I mean, I've known Ryan a little bit. I've seen him. Hey, by the way, notice his shirt, guys? Huh? You notice this? Man up. You going this year?
I am going this year.
Yeah, he's going this year. He wasn't until this morning, but you're going. You're already going.
I was already going.
And so he sent us an email, and he had his story. And I'm like, man, I've known this dude. I've seen this guy. I've seen him with his daughter. Peyton was here this morning with you. But I never knew the story. And then I'm like reading the story. It's like, oh, my gosh. And this is true about all of us. There's a story behind the story. And he was just back there ushering tonight, and now he's on stage. So Tell them a little bit of your background, because it's sort of interesting where you started.
At the beginning?
Well, not your birth, but
I was raised in Sunday school, catechism, and I have 2 older sisters, mom, dad. My grandma came over from the Philippines when I was born to help with all of us. And my dad died when I was 11. A few months after that, I found my grandmother slumped over. She had a stroke. And so within a few months, my mom became a single mother of 3, and I became the only man in the house.
Yeah, and so that was a lot of responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have a similar story, but you spun to a sort of dark place.
Yeah, I guess you could say I was kind of like the prodigal son, and I went my own direction. I thought I was taking care of myself. I thought I was being a man and taking care of myself. But I left everything behind, and I started getting in trouble, started doing drugs, and then I found myself in jail.
So you're in jail. You've had a little girl who you gave up for adoption.
Correct.
She's 21 now, still in a relationship with her. But here you are in jail. You get out of jail. And we're looking at you right now going, everything must have just worked like that. What happened?
No, it definitely still wasn't. I mean, it's still not perfect, but it still wasn't perfect. And I ended up working for a company that it seemed like we were a band of misfits because everybody seemed to be getting in trouble. But the owners of the company went to Kensington, and they invited me to go to service. And my first service was at the Troy campus, which was a big outfit like this. So I thought, okay, I can do this. I went to church when I was little. I can get in and I can get out, and nobody's going to see me.
So you liked that it was big?
I liked that it was big.
Like go in and out, nobody would even know.
Nobody would know.
Yeah. And notice, by the way, how he got to his first Kensington service. How did he get there? Somebody invited him. That's you and me. You got neighbors, you got people you work with. Invite them. A simple invite can change somebody's life. So initially it didn't change your life, but you kept coming.
I kept coming, and as I got older, I eventually started listening to the services.
Oh, that's nice. Anybody out there listening yet? Are you at that stage?
And it was very convicting, and I couldn't sit through like a baptism service without weeping and watching these people give up their lives for Christ. And as I'm weeping, I'm like, what are the things that I'm holding on to that I just can't let go of? What type of life am I living that I can't do this? It wasn't getting me anywhere.
Yeah. So finally, you decide, I'm letting go. And
finally, I decided. I started coming to the Orion campus to try and get away from that nudge. You
thought you wouldn't get nudged here?
I thought I wouldn't get it here, and I did. And I ended up. I kept hearing messages about volunteering, and so I decided to get on the greeting team, which is the team that does the
front door, lobby,
all that stuff, and
offering, you name it.
So I started doing that, and then I got on a team that started the Alpha course, and then I joined Full Throttle as well.
So you've been through Alpha 12 times.
At least, yeah.
At least 12 times, yeah. which is a course for people that are really sort of asking questions. They're sort of seeking. And then Full Throttle, which is really a cool ministry, is guys like you that work on cars to do what?
We overhaul them, make them road safe, and then we give them to single-parent families, single moms, single-parent families.
Isn't that awesome? That is awesome. I mean, there are people in this church that can't afford a car, and we give them to them because these guys work on them. So, I mean, I heard a story. I'm looking at a man who was transformed, and now you're mobilized by Jesus to do a pretty cool calling in your life that involves Kensington and beyond Kensington. Last thing I'll ask you. You got guys out here like, I don't know if I should go to Man Up. What would you say to those guys?
Earlier I said just come. That's the easiest thing I could say is just to come. But then I have my youngest daughter who's 4. I have her every other weekend. And this Man Up falls on a weekend that I have her. And, obviously it's a men's weekend, so I can't bring her. But I'm willing to sacrifice that weekend to get up here to go to Man Up, and that's how important it is.
Yeah, and obviously the reason Ryan would do this is because you'll be a better dad. Mm-hmm. You'll have a better legacy by taking 30, 40 hours that weekend and saying, I'm going to let God change me even more. Mm-hmm. Dude, give me a high five. You did this all weekend. You're a warrior. Thank you. Say thanks to Ryan as he walks off. You know what? Here's all I will say. And I can say this real quick, and then I want to. show you, I think, just a powerful video, and we're going to sing and be done tonight. But, you know, and I don't have time to walk through all this, but it's this simple. When I think about leaving a mark on my neighbor, when I encourage you to leave a mark on your neighbor, here's what I think. 4 words: pray, walk, serve, talk. Pray, walk, serve, talk. What do I mean by that? First of all, pray. I'd say do this every day. First thing I would pray is this: God, show me who you are. I want to know you. I want to know your heart. I don't think I know who you really are. So many of us have a vision of God like I did of my neighbor, and we don't really know him. And when you pray daily and say, God, would you reveal yourself to me? Trust me, God answers that prayer. He will show you who he is in his heart. So I think that you start there. God, I pray you show me your heart. And God, I pray for my neighbor. You've got a person in your mind that you would love to see them go on a journey and experience the love of God. Pray for them specifically by name. Ask God to impact their life and ask God to use you. And then the second step is take a walk. You know what I mean by walk? Walk across your front yard to their front yard. Walk across your back deck to their back deck. Walk across the hallway to their classroom. Walk across the street to that person that you feel like God maybe wants you to be the vehicle that he wants to use to bring them to the love of God. You've got to take a walk. The other day I had to walk out in the cul-de-sac and have a conversation with my neighbors. That's real hard. They're not going to find out about God's love from some banner in the sky that's going to say, I love you. They're going to find out about God's love through Dave and Ann Wilson, their neighbors, who they're probably scared of because you're not just a Christian, you're a pastor. Oh my gosh, right? And if we're just normal, we go over there and love them and hang out with them and invite them to our house and their house, it's going to change their life. Take a walk. So pray, walk. Third one, serve. What do you mean serve? I think the greatest way you can show the love of God for somebody is just show up and serve them. Your neighbor's got a trial they're going through, you show up. Be on their front door, knock, and say, how can I help? You need your kids taken care of? I got it. You need meals? I got it. You need your front yard, backyard mowed? I got it. You need your driveway shoveled? I'm there. See, Christians rarely show up when people need them to show up. Everybody else shows up, but we don't. You should be the first one to show up. And by the way, try this when you show up and say, how can I pray for you? Nobody will ever tell you they don't want you to pray for you. They'll say, you want to pray for me? That'd be nice. Yeah, you can pray for this. Okay, I'm doing it. And don't do it there. Hey, go, and pray. You know, don't freak them out. Just pray for them. All right? So you pray, you walk, you serve, and then talk means tell them about Jesus. And some of you just got real scared, like, oh, that's going too far. Come back week 3 of this series, and we're going to tell you, what do you say when you talk about Jesus? We're going to tell you in week 3, okay? Don't miss it. So here it is, simple. Pray, walk, serve, talk. Pray, walk, serve, talk. Come on. Pray, walk, serve, talk. Pray. Walk, serve, talk. It's that simple. It really is. And I'm just barely scratching the surface, but you want to leave a mark on your neighbor in your neighborhood? Start there. Start with your neighbor, and it's going to go out. The next thing you know, you and God will be impacting people you've never met in other countries if you just start at home and branch out. It's called local and global. We call it global. You impact both. It's awesome. And so here's how we want to end today. I want to show you a video that our video team put together. I love this video. I think we called it 27 Years of Life Change. It's just a few people who sat down and said, here's how God has changed me, and he's used this vehicle, Kensington Church, to do it. And it's, as you watch this, just know this, you're watching a few of thousands, maybe tens of thousands in 27 years that have a story similar to this. They were the one who met the one, and now the one is sending them back to the one. It's awesome. We're going to receive our offering during this video, and I think it's so beautiful to do that. You know why? Because those of you like me that give here, this is what it does. You're going to watch what your money does. It changes lives like this, locally and globally. It's awesome. And if you're new here tonight, you're like a visitor, you're our guest. What a great night to be here to learn what we're all about. You can keep your money in your pocket. You don't have to give. Your next step is not to give, but to go to Starting Point and say, I'm interested in starting here. We have a table in the lobby called Starting Point. You'll see orange shirts. Just go up and say, I'm new. What's my next step? But if you're all in and this is your mission, man, give and watch what your money does as you watch these stories.
I would characterize my relationship with God at that point in my life as being non-existent.
I never really read the Bible. I went to church, and that was it.
It seemed like a lot of rules and honestly, it just seemed like a lot of fear.
It was just a waste of my time. You know, I really wasn't getting anything out of it.
January of 2009, my dad passed away, which definitely, shook our world. I spent 5 years of my 20s literally drinking myself into oblivion, carrying a pain and a weight that is almost unexplainable.
Like any divorce that was very traumatic, it really jolts your system in terms of like what's important in life.
In the summer of 2014, my mom passed away, and I grieved heavily. Nobody could understand what I was going through.
There might be a God. I've grown up believing there is, but if he exists, he does not care about me or my family.
All these ups and downs in my life, and it's like, wow, if there's a God, why would all these things be happening? I was very angry with God. I felt let down.
Parties for hosting, marshmallows for toasting,
and caroling out in the snow.
The first time I came to Kensington was about 93 or 94. It was at one of the high schools in Troy. I went with my mom, and she took me to a Christmas service. It was a Broadway performance, and it sparked an interest in me.
All right, good morning, Kensington. How we doing? Okay, I'm saying good morning. You yell back good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Awesome.
First time to Troy was, to be honest with you, just a little overwhelming. It was like, wow, this is something else.
For me, for me. It's the dawn of a new day. You've painted for me.
It didn't feel like church to me. It was amazing.
What does God want to do through you? Don't miss it. The life that could have been, live it.
The message really touched me, and I mean, I've never felt those emotions before in a church or anywhere.
It was a visual of what love's supposed to be like extremely nice, like better than Kroger's nice, like.
Anytime these two groups met one another, things would escalate quickly.
The first time we came was a K-Rock presentation, and we were kind of blown away. And we happened to have all our children that weekend because we are a blended family. To see them intrigued and interested, which we hadn't been seeing for quite some time, was very nice to see.
Make ourselves nothing, become children, give ourselves away.
We were being taught about the Word of God as opposed to being preached to. If I'm being taught, I can actually take that and apply it to my life on a day-to-day basis.
If I'm going to be here on Sundays and be at service, I want to be volunteering. I want to be a part of, I want to feel a part of the community. I want to get to know people in relationship.
Ultimately, it's the community that God has been building around us that's changed my life the most through Kensington. That small group was earth-shattering on every level.
I was asked to lead 4th and 5th grade kids, boys. It's like, okay, you really know I don't know the Bible or anything? And she's like, I don't care. So I started doing that, and that's where I really feel like I cheated, because here I learned the Bible at a kid's level. Seeing their trust and seeing their obedience was just like, wow, this is crazy.
My son called and said, hey, Mom, guess what? We're running a marathon. And it's like, yeah, right. I'm sitting on the couch eating Doritos. I'm not running anywhere. And he said, no, they're doing this Hope Water project, and I think you can run the marathon. So I settled at the half marathon. The community there, just being around other people that wanted to give back and raise money for the POCOT. That was just a huge step for me.
If I looked at my life and wanted to say, was there anything missing from it, I would have said no. But I didn't know about God. Not really. I didn't know about Him wanting to be in relationship with me. I don't ever remember hearing that my whole life. And I heard it there for the first time.
I had lost so much faith in God. It's like God was being shoved down my throat, where I was just like, my body and my spirit was just rejecting it. And I became dead to it. And when I came here and started being consistent in the Word and listening and containing and actually consuming and being fed spiritually, it was watching a heart stop, completely just stop. And then the Word from here started to move a little bit, and then it started moving more and pumping and pumping and pumping. And now it's just like, let's go, we gotta keep going. And it was like something I've never felt before.
It's almost like something in my mind just opens up and say, this is the purpose of life. You know, if you have God in your heart, you know, you will understand why you're here.
There truly is a God, and Jesus died for me. That was an incredible revelation.
I remember sitting in the corner by the coffee shop at Orion, praying with my small group leader, Jared Lee, and that's when I actually gave my life to Christ. And they just so happened that there were baptisms coming up, so I took the plunge and told my story on stage.
I just love the way I feel. I love the way I look at life now. It's just awesome, and I know it's all because of God.
I know forgiveness now because I have it. I never thought I would have it until I had that moment with Jesus.
Our whole life looks different. Every part of it is different.
I could have done so much more if I had Him in my life earlier, but it's never too late. Having Him in my life now, I mean, He is the bedrock of my life.
It's not been easy, but there's a peace and a joy and a hope that comes from living a life for Christ and actually having a relationship with Him that doesn't come from anywhere else. Looking back at how miserable I was, and the depression and the fear and anxiety and the hopelessness of my past, and the dramatic difference that there is today when I actually know Jesus. I'm actually pursuing a relationship with Him and living my life for Him on this mission. I just can't imagine going a day without Him. Like, I would never want to live the way I was before Christ.
Walking around these walls, I thought by now they'd fall, but you have never failed me yet. Waiting for change to come, knowing the battle's won, for you have never failed me yet. Your promise still stands, great is your faithfulness, your faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my comfort.
You know, I can remember like it was yesterday, the first time I heard that song, probably over a year ago when I got the Elevation Worship CD and that bridge came in, you know. I've seen you move the mountains. And I was just like, oh my gosh, it's just so well. I think I texted Josh, said, dude, have you heard this song? This bridge is so cool. It's like, I've seen him do it before. We have 27 years, if not more, of God moving mountains here. And I believe I'll see you do it again. I've seen you make a way when there was no way, and I believe I'll see you do it again. I know some of you have lost hope. Don't lose hope. The God we just sang about is that God. The stories you just watched. I mean, Ann just came over, and we just weep because one of those stories is so precious to us. I mean, I know some of the people in there, but not all, but Ethan Martin, the boy who's on there that said he lost his dad. That was when we were at Adams High School. And I can remember Ethan coming up and just looking at us with this look at his eyes like, please tell me there's a God that will get us through this. And now he's on that video and he's sitting in the booth right now because he's in production arts. He's using his gift in production arts to leave a mark on the world because God made a way when there was no way in his life. And he hung on. Way to go, Ethan. So cool. I've literally watched his and thousands of little transformations and callings of mobilization. And here's what I got to say. I'm watching that video, I'm singing that song, and I'm thinking, okay. This service is for the one. And I'm guessing there's a few ones here tonight that maybe didn't even realize until you went through the service that, oh my gosh, I'm why they chose this church. And I'm not going to let you leave until I give you an opportunity right here, right now. I was going to say stand up if you want to become a Christian, but I guess you all are becoming Christians. So I'll say this, and I know it takes courage, and I know this can be uncomfortable, but I don't care. If tonight's your night, and you're like, why would I wait another day to surrender my life? I'm going to do what Ryan did. I'm going to surrender right here, right now. Put your hand up. Just put your hand up and say, I'm in. Just hold it up there. And again, it isn't to call you out. It's just to say, man, we designed tonight and this weekend and every weekend for you, that this would be a place where you would be overwhelmed by the love of Christ. And if you put your hand up, come up afterwards. We have a prayer team right here. They'd love to pray with you. And if you're not connected at all, get connected with a circle, with a small group of people that will then walk with you so that one day you are not only transformed, that's the beginning, but then God sets you on a calling and a mobilized mission, and you know why you're on this planet. And I tell you what, it is a great thing to wake up knowing why you're here. And you go live out that calling, and we'll let you do it at this place and through this place to that community and that city and that world. Am I right? Yes. And so then come back next weekend. We'll be here. Leave a mark on your church. If you want to go to our midweek, it'll be at Troy this week. God bless you. What a great night. And again, if you want to pray with somebody, our prayer team will be up here waiting for you. God bless. See you next week.